is you need to define what success means to you. Because this is where I think a lot of people get tripped up in this business is if Lambos and watches and that is success to you, then you might struggle because the only way to have that is through making a shit ton of money, right? To have it, legitimately and not just financing all that shit. You got to make a ton of money to do that. But that doesn't mean that that's what success needs to mean to you. That's what success means to social media. That's what success looks like to the broad, social media audience. But that doesn't mean that that has to be for you. For me, success, sometimes we got success in putting in new systems to generate leads. It's success that I recently had a baby, and it's like I've been able to be home. Yeah.
Man, I didn't know that happened.
You didn't see? Yeah. It's a new thing. Guys can have babies now. Don't be a bigot or whatever it is.
Sorry, world. Sorry, you too. I was just kidding. I just popped off.
God, equal rights. But so my wife just had a baby, and I've been able to stay home and help her out, right? And the business is still running. That is success to me, right? I'm not driving a Lambo. I don't live in a mansion. I'm not flying in a private plane. But to me, I'm still successful, right? Because I used to be broke. I used to have to go to work Monday to Monday. I don't have to do that. I can do that. I choose to do that, but I don't have to. That's my definition of success, right? So you got to get very clear on what your definition of success is, because I'm seeing way too many people measure their success by what social media shows to be success. It's like, well, I've been doing this for X number of years, and I don't have the Lambo. I don't have the fancy vacations. It's like, well, is that what success means to you? You know what I mean? Like, well,
that's one thing. Like I've hated this for a long time, like social media, and like people define their success by what other people are posting on social media. And that's one reason why I hated interacting with social media so much. Is like because I could not differentiate myself, even though I know the stories that somebody's putting out are just headlines to get eyeballs. It still made me feel bad about myself and what I was doing as influencing what I was defining as success, even though I knew there was more to that story than what they had on that. And that's just like, I couldn't do it. I had to turn it off. And that's why, and I took that negative condensation into my opinions on social media. Now knowing it's like understanding, it's taken me a long time to be able like, I can turn that stuff away. I can not pay attention to it and feel better about myself. But like, you can't define your success by what other people are posting on their social media.
Oh yeah.
Because you hear, I mean, it's no secret. You hear people all the time are like some of the unhappiest people they know are wealthy people. And it's like, wow, you look at somebody that's ultra successful, they're a miserable person outside of that. And I think like a lot of these documentaries that have been coming out of like some of like the big sports icons, people you idolize, and they show their lifestyle and like more people getting like the truth of it out there. And you're like, ooh, yeah, Michael Jordan was a hell of an all-star, but he was a freaking asshole.
Oh yeah.
And he seemed like a miserable person to be. Like if he lost a game of golf, he was at that dude's door the next morning just beating on it just to get out here, we're going to play. And I was like, I heard about that story and I was like, that just sounds miserable.
Well, even look at right now Tom Brady, right? Like most successful, one of the best quarterbacks and everything, and now he's losing his whole family pretty much because of his commitment to his job and all this, to his success, to what he wanted to do. And he's losing the things that to me matter more than success is your family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to me, that matters more. So, but again, and this is not to say you shouldn't want the fancy things. I'm not saying that at all. You should want whatever you want. Just make sure it's what you want.
Yeah.
And not what social media is telling you you should want.
Or society in general.
Yeah.
Because society,
where's your happy place?
Huh?
Where's your happy place?
Oh,
Figure
yeah. I thought yeah, exactly. Because like our world does a very good job of trying to reward your negative self-talk of just like, I need to grind, I need to drive, I need to work, I need to provide. Because that's because that overall, your sacrifice does do quote unquote better for society because it's a more productive thing in the short term. That's why they don't teach financial education in like high schools,
Right.
because they want people to be swiping credit cards. Because when you swipe credit cards, that 70% payment goes to the big paychecks of the big Wells Fargos and your Chase and the stock market,
All the
stuff
people
like
that fund the schools.
yeah, people that fund the schools. So that's one of like the downfalls I think of capitalism, is that drive of just, you need to sacrifice as much as possible to buy the fanciest cars, the nicest things, and social media has exacerbated that ability to show that off and make people idolize and want that, and just grind and ignore everything else. Because they say like money can buy you everything else, but we all know, like looking back, like it doesn't buy happiness, and that can be a downfall of a society when you just have everybody being negative and pissed off, and the sentiment, and it can crash and fall, just like all cycles of life.
And this is something that you and I don't really agree on, is you blame capitalism a lot for this, and I look at it more as like, you need to take responsibility. You know, you need to discipline yourself. You need to focus. If you have kids, you're the one that needs to teach them self-esteem, self-worth, where they don't get influenced by these things as much. And we all do. It's not that we don't, but you got to take some ownership of what it is, because that's the great thing with capitalism, in my opinion, is that you can choose whether that's how you want to live or not.
It's true, 100%.
You know? So it's 100% up to you if you want to choose that lifestyle. It's just, you know, you got to make the conscious choice to realize, hey, I'm living a life I don't want to be living. I'm stressed the hell out. This isn't what I really want. So then don't do it.
Yeah.
Follow what you do.
And it can.
Want.
And like, it's not to say you and I disagree or agree or disagree. It's just coming at it from different angles or different points. Because
I say
capitalism,
the right thing, you say your opinion.
Because capitalism does give you that ability to choose to do the right thing. But then capitalism on the other side can say, I'm forced, the society does try to force you into this mold, but you do have the freedom to choose. So you do have to have that ability to sidestep it, so it can be good in its sense, depending, as long as not too much the corruption of capitalism, the greed, forces it and silences those things and tries to force people into these molds. It's like, now that's where it does get bad, because that's where I say it can be its own detriment and trip itself up, is if it does not allow people to have that freedom to choose. And not saying they always have that freedom to choose, but it suppresses their ability to do that by censoring content, censoring certain things, saying, oh, we don't want people thinking this way, we're not going to allow people to talk that way. And it doesn't, I'm not agreeing with anything that's happening the last couple of years. I'm talking of society as a general, over generations of just trying to force people in here. It's like, we don't want too many people to think that they have the right to choose to start their own businesses and stuff like that. So they try to push that stuff down. And that is the battle of like corporations and government and stuff like that. Was it good or bad? Some is good, some is bad. Like, it all has its pros and cons. But that is the great thing about capitalism, America, our society, and the democracy we do have, is like, people do have the ability to find that stuff, but they need to have the ability to do that. And there's a lot of people out there that don't want people to have that, because they want them to follow their rules, because they make money off of them following the rules.
Yeah. So some tactics for you to use there to get control of your mindset. And this comes from our coach, Mike Kitko. He's our mindset coach. He tells us, like, first, you need to be able and willing to sit silently. That's something that many of us
he tells me all the time, and I'm like, no,
you can't shut up.
No.
But it's one of those things, like, you need to be able to sit silently so you can contemplate your beliefs, your thoughts. You know, is this my belief or is this society's belief? Right? Whose belief is this? Like, do I feel this way? Do I feel like I need to do this? Or was this my parents telling me I needed to do this? Or society making me feel like I need to do this? Right? Because you need to start figuring out what your voice sounds like. Because a lot of people, we all think it's our voice, but it's actually our parents. You know what I mean? Or it's our friends, or it's whoever it is that we hang out with, or whatever we follow on social media. So it's those voices that you are thinking these are your ideas, but they're actually not. And that's when you have that inner conflict, when it's like you're forcing yourself to do something that you actually don't want to do, but you feel you need to, right? So you need to sit, and by sitting in silence, that's when these things hit you. And you can do that through meditation, or just simply sitting and staring at the wall. Just disconnect from everything and let your mind kind of start talking to you. You know, another thing he talks about is journaling. Journal all these things, because the reason for journaling, what I find the powerful part of it is it's it slows you down. So for people like you and I that we move really fast and we don't want to slow down, journaling forces you to slow down because you got to write. You got to write it out. You got to think through what you're writing down. So you can't, in your mind, you think much faster than, at least for me, that I can write.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm writing and I'm skipping phrases because like I'm writing, I'm trying to keep up with my thoughts.
People, here's something like people always try to say, I just can't slow down. Like to write out, it just takes too long. Like bullshit. How many text messages you send a day? Read a text as you're typing it, and you'll realize your mind has to slow down. We are going to be going. Tell me humans can't multitask.
Yeah.
So you're typing something out, you're not thinking
You
about
can't be.
something out.
Yep.
So it's like you can do it. You just don't think you can because you're like, oh, journaling. Oh, I can't write that down. It's like journaling doesn't have to be a 10-minute exercise.
Yeah.
It can be 3. It can be 1. It can be 5. It can be whatever you want it to be. There's no rules, and there's no journaling police that's gonna come and say you need to do this. And like you can do it. You do it hundreds of times a day. I mean, some days like I might send 100 text messages or more in a day, and like so you do it a lot, and you just don't even realize it.
So, and then the last thing to do, so you have sitting in silence, meditating, whatever that is for you, journaling, and the last thing is reading more. And I like more mindset books. One of the books that we're reading right now, we're doing a book study on, is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. And he talks about all these things, and he gives you actual strategies and stuff like that. They're great books to read. Read as many books on mindset, on how to think creatively, how to think through problems, solutions, situations, because that's where with the coming crisis, whatever happens, it's how you process and think about things that's going to get you to be successful. If you're just somebody that doesn't stop to think and just moves, you're going to miss out on so many opportunities and so many things because you're not stopping to look around to see what's actually happening. Should you be doing this way? Should you be doing something else? You got to be able to slow down. And sometimes reading these books, they give you excellent strategies and ideas and ways to ask yourself different questions. Because a lot of times, and it happened for me, I sit and contemplate. I'm like, I don't know what I believe. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it, I'm going to get back to work. It was too slow. But when I'm reading these books, they give me questions. They're like, what do you feel about this, this, and this? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's a good question. So now I have something to actually sit and meditate on. Right? And something to contemplate on. So, this whole segment here of mindset is to help you guys get your minds in order, because what's coming, it's gonna need a lot of mental fortitude, and you really need to start putting these things into practice sooner rather than later.
Well, and it's one of the things we keep saying that was kind of coming to my brain and thinking right there, like, and we're not saying it's going to get bad, because it could not. Like there's a lot of things that could not, but at some point it will get bad. So the sooner you start doing this stuff, the better off you're going to be whenever that time does come. Because it's also like economy shit. Okay, fine. Economy could be doing great. How many people died during COVID? You had a family member go down. That's a very tough time economically for you personally.
Yeah.
So having these things in your own head.
You can have your own crisis.
Like whatever that may be. Yep. The things that he's talking about right now help during those personal crises. And economically, socioeconomically, your internal, anytime you're feeling difficult stress in your body, like, and you could just having a bad day yourself because you did something, you woke up and stubbed your toe, like, being able to like calm yourself down and be centered, and knowing what your whys, your definition of successes, all of those things is great for you and your mental health and your long term and your career. Because like Mike always says, like, he's like, I'm not a business coach. While yes, business is a big part of what I help people with, my thing is helping guide the entrepreneur, the business owner. Because what I've seen, if the business owner or the head of that organization is happy in their personal lives, the business kind of takes care of itself, because a business is a reflection of the mind of the people that are running that organization, whatever that may be. Because he used that example of just like Brian Schroeder. He's like, when I met him, when I first met him, and then I first met his business, I was like, oh my God, like this is the exact way your brain runs. So if you're not right up here, your business isn't going to run well either. But if you get it right up here, it's a self-reflection of who you
And
are
a lot
as
of people
person.
don't understand that when they're struggling with marketing, with deals, with things like that. It's like that's a reflection of your mindset that you're struggling. You know, and I know it may sound woo woo or whatever, but it truly is. If you're not in the right state of mind, if you're not doing the right actions, then you're not going to have the right mindset and the clarity to go through the right moves, the steps, and resources and systems and whatever it is you need because you're not thinking clearly. You know, you're not thinking in the right manner. So your mindset matters tremendously on the level of success you have.